Okay, everyone, welcome tonight. Um, Welcome to everyone who's new to our practice this evening. If you're brand new, um, always feel free to just say hello in the chat, and of course, there are many people who will greet you. But welcome. This is our Medicine Buddha Monday night practice. This is a guided practice as well. And so there's no need to have anything in particular. Everything that we may chant will be supplied in the chat box, so just keep an eye on that. At the end, we'll just take a few questions at the end of our practice. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. As always, we'll begin with adding prayer requests to the chat box. And two, of course, if you don't want to offer prayers, just, publicly like this, just keep those prayers very present in your awareness, so they become part of the fluidity, the movement of energy. Our energy is shaped by intention. So a prayer is an intention, and so when we're praying, aspiring, developing intentions, we begin to shift energy in the direction of what we're praying for. Now, it doesn't matter if we're praying for something good or praying for something bad; it's still prayer, right? We want to develop prayers, aspirations that are about benefiting and about supporting and about helping, not about hurting, creating harm or creating pain either. So adding those prayer requests, I'll offer those prayer requests as when we begin moving into our formal practice. I hope this emphasis on prayer that we've been working on for a while now, it has been helpful. It's been helpful for me, absolutely. It's so incredibly liberatory to begin to articulate what we need, and I always talk about, in many different spaces, I always talk about our needs, what we need, how do we get our needs fulfilled, all last week, if you're in Love and Rage with me, we talked about the erotic and sex and pleasure, and about how that's incredibly important for our well-being. How do we go about fulfilling those needs? How do we begin to share pleasure, with the world? And often that pleasure begins with cultivating that pleasure for ourselves, But pray, just that prayer helps us to enter into the erotic, into this energy of attraction, this dynamic energy that, is one of the energies that's vibrating from within phenomenal reality. Marvin Gaye, who's saying sexual healing, or Al Green. No, it's Marvin Gaye, sexual healing. I should know better, right? But, and also put any prayer updates. So if there's someone or something we've been praying for pretty consistently, if there's something that's changed, please add that. I know others would love to hear, to learn that as well. I would. Sexual healing, the erotic, this is all part of healing. We have to bring, I think, what Buddhist Dharma is trying to do, particularly the tantric side of things, is trying to bring the whole body into the practice. It's a union. Of course, this is what we study in yoga as well, as the union, the yoking, right? The erotic is as much a part of the body as trauma, too. And in Tantra, we're trying to understand how trauma and the erotic and pleasure are essentially expressing their essence of the same reality, their essence of emptiness and this energetic potentiality, right? Of course, that energetic potentiality is what gives rise to phenomena. To understand trauma and pleasure as, or to experience the one taste expression of both trauma and pleasure, or good and bad, or up and down, the duality of the binary, understanding that binaries are just reflections of each other. Extremism is just one extreme is just the reflection of another extreme. That's tantra. Like, it's getting to the essence of things. There's the surface that we see, and touch and sense through our senses, right? And then there's the essence. And the essence is what we're trying to be in relationship with. The essence of things. The essence of things is how we begin to work through the ultimate expression of everything. And we talk about this all, quite often as well. The union of the relative and the ultimate together, is what we're playing with in practice. To be in this world, in this body, on the earth, but also to start developing, connecting to this intuition that at the same time, all the stuff is just an illusion. It's just this thing that's happening that's not real. It's not real. And to live in union with those two teachings, not to live in the extremes. Like, we try to live in the ultimate, but you don't. People say, well, I have the ultimate view, which is that's an intellectualization of the ultimate. The ultimate is something that we embody, and that embodiment is the key word, because that embodiment also takes into account the relative. So I'm living this ultimate view, but I'm also moving through the relative at the same time, and then just, really hunkering down in the relative is also a trap, because that's not the truth either, but coming back into the middle, because if you're stuck in the relative, it's just, the relative is like extreme materialism, extreme relativism is so hopeless. It's hopeless. There's nothing, in extreme materialism, extreme relativism, it's, there's nowhere to go. What you get is what you get, like, this is it. And if what you've gotten is just crap, that's what you get is crap. That's what you have to deal with is crap. That's hopeless. That's deterministic. That's, I don't know, fatalistic. There's all kinds of istic things. I can just start throwing out a whole bunch of words, But materialism becomes hopeful when we're trying to also be in relationship with the ultimate. Of course, that relationship of materialism with the ultimate is where impermanence arises. The tenet of impermanence, that everything's interdependent, everything's always shifting. The nature of everything is emptiness, right? Is always change, always shifting, always movement. If you don't have that, if you don't have impermanence, it's hopeless. It's just hopeless, and there's no joy in extreme materialism. I think there's an incredible wisdom that comes from the intersection of materialism and materialism and nihilism, but relative and the ultimate. That there's a profound liberatory wisdom that arises that says, yes, I can be in the world and I can accomplish benefit and do the work of change and everything in the world, but I also know that this isn't it at the same time. When I was growing up in church, we would always say the world is not my home. Like, this isn't my home, but I'm here now, right? But I'm going somewhere else. In Buddha Dharma, we're going somewhere else. We're going into the essence of things. If we choose to do so, we will be moving into the essence of things, and that's where everything changes. And again, we start talking about, again, deity practice. I know some of you may have just shown up tonight and you're beginners and you're like, what? It'll make sense. I don't know, maybe 10 years, but it's when we do deity practice, we're playing with all of this. We're playing with the relative and the ultimate. We're playing with learning how to shape and mold phenomenal reality. We're learning how to get a taste of our agency. Because of the ultimate, we have a certain level of agency within this material relative world that we have to train in order to open up the possibilities for movement and fluidity. Everything isn't so stuck, right? Everything isn't so fixed in place. Everything isn't. But we have to train ourselves in order to be in a relationship to know that, to shift the phenomenal world, we have to have an embodied experience or an embodied intuition of the fluidity of everything expressed out of the truth of the ultimate. Because I may have been able to say that with a lot fewer words. The ultimate lubes up the relative. Ooh, speaking of the erotic. The ultimate is the lube for the relative. And if you're not tuning into the ultimate, then the relative it gets rusts over. It just rusts over, right? This will be in the Heart Sutra class, correct? I've basically given the Heart Sutra class over the course of our Monday night sets. So if we can just go back and just splice all the teachings together, there's your class. There's our Heart Sutra class. I know if I have a Heart Sutra class, it won't be as brilliant as this is. If I have to sit and talk about the Heart Sutra, I can't talk about the Heart Sutra. But I can always talk about the Heart Sutra in relationship to anything else. So Medicine Buddha, to baking a cake, to watching Golden Girls and having a glass of wine. I could talk all day about this Heart Sutra in relationship to all of that mundane stuff. When I sit and talk about the Heart Sutra, I'm like, I don't know. The Buddha gave a speech on a piece of rock in India, and people had heart attacks, and that was it. And then at the end, they sat around and chanted a mantra. And that was the Heart Sutra. I just gave you the extent of the class. There you go. So let's begin. Let's get going. So let's try to bring some of all this. So I guess the heart of this, what we're trying to get at is the space, the spaciousness, the fluidity, always, always, always the space, the movement, the fluidity. When we feel shut down or planted or kind of like just kind of stuck. Like we have to turn a little bit into the ultimate to start like getting us free, to getting us lubed up and and going. If there's no attunement to the ultimate, I don't think we will ever see the change we want to see. We won't ever change without the ultimate. Actually, there's no change. So we'll begin, and we're gonna go ahead and get our opening mantra Om Minlasange Kino Soha. So again, Om Minlasange Kino means Medicine Buddha, please think of me. That's the basic meaning. Please, Medicine Buddha, please think of me. But when I learned this, particularly from Lama Willa Miller, who some of you may know of, was one of our early teachers. She would always invite us to translate Kino into whatever we need in the moment from the deity or from the teacher. Now, she may have taught me that. I don't remember. Either I made that up or she taught me. I don't know. It's just all a blur. But in any case, it's still such a powerful way of practicing agency, particularly in articulating what we need for Medicine Buddha. So just take a moment before we begin to really think about this word kino, which is often translated as to think, and to retranslate it into a verb that you need, particularly from this practice. So Medicine Buddha, please remember me. Medicine Buddha, please help me. Medicine Buddha, please, nurture me, feed me. Medicine Buddha, please look at me. So we'll begin with that mantra before we get into the prayers, but we'll begin with the mantra, chanting it to ourselves. So basically saying, Medicine Buddha, please, whatever it is I need for me, please do that for me. We'll do that a few times, and then we'll take a break, and then I will actually instruct you to chant that. We're going to chant that mantra again a couple of times. This time, I want you to imagine that you're asking Medicine Buddha to act in a certain way for those around you. So in that case, it would be Medicine Buddha, please heal them. Of course, you have that person or those people in your mind. So you're saying, oh, Medicine Buddha, please think of them. Please see them. Please hold them. Please heal them. Please take care of them. So again, the first mantra practice is us. The second mantra practice will be directing that mantra out to others. Medicine Buddha, please first think of me, then Medicine Buddha, please think of them. Okay? And of course, taking someone, if you have prayers, right? Really directing the energy of that aspiration through the form of mantra into your aspiration for first for yourself and then secondly for others. Okay, so we'll begin. So as we begin, allowing the body to come into a position that feels appropriate. And so we'll begin. Om Manla Sangye Kino Soha. Om Manla la sange hino so Om la sange hino so Om la sange hino so So taking a break and turning our attention to those we're praying for, to others who need the energy of Medicine Buddha, and directing this energy and chant to them as we begin our second round of chanting. Om la sange kino so Om la sange kino so Om la sange kino so Just returning some attention to the breath, noticing the inhale and the exhale. And just noticing maybe what it feels like, or what your experience is of the energy of Medicine Buddha beginning to kind of radiate, to awaken within the space around you. And it's okay if you don't sense or feel anything, but just paying attention to the energy that's arising, or the energy that's shifting around you. Again, when we are connecting to the essence of any Buddha, including Medicine Buddha, one of the signs of the Buddha in this form is space, is openness, is this experience of fluidity, of movement. Maybe you feel things moving. Maybe you feel, lighter or lightheaded. Maybe there are things that are just coming into like really intense view for you. Like things are just really awakening really strongly, be it pleasure or displeasure. These are actually all the signs of the deity arising around us and within us. This is the rising of awakened energy. The vibration, or another way of saying this, the vibration begins to rise. There's a higher vibration happening. And we're trying to lean into it. We're trying to be in relationship to that, but we're still physical beings at the same time. So the body is responding in ways that may feel uncomfortable. The mind can go off and do anything and everything. The mind can be in the past, it can be in the future, but the body is in the present always, all the time. So the body, as the Buddha taught, particularly in the Satipatthana, the body and the breath are always in the moment. This is why we use them as anchors often. They're always just happening in this moment. But still, the body can sense energies and things arising. And so within this space that's opened up, and we'll begin to offer our prayer requests for this evening. I begin just by calling into our collective space, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and Dharma protectors and beneficial and benevolent spirits and guides and guardians and benevolent ancestors. Call into the space all the elements. Call into the space particularly also the earth, the land that we're practicing on, and all those guides and guardians still connected to the physical land. I call in all the beings who love us, who are guiding us, who want us to be free. I call into the space our descendants, all of those beings who will come after us, all those beings whom our present practice is benefiting in some way. And of course, always in this practice, we call into the space Medicine Buddha, the great healer, Minla Sangye, the great healer, the great activist, the great doctor, the nurse, the nurturer. Imagining that all these beings begin to gather around us. As I offer these prayers, just imagining that we're just touching again into the energy of the prayer, noticing how we feel, allowing ourselves to open into our experience of compassion, and then offering all this energy into this field of benefactors that whom we've called into the space around us. So we continue to offer prayers for Sharon's continued healing of her neck pain. May she continue to be flexible, strong, and surrounded and surrendered to the present moment. We offer prayers of encouragement for my father as he processes and continues to face deep-seated trauma. We offer prayers for Dee and the harm we have caused each other. Offering prayers for Jen as she deals with her chronic pain and ongoing health issues. Also prayers for Mike and Maddie as they mourn Terry's passing. We continue to offer prayers for all those who have passed from COVID and are in the bardo. Prayers for all those who are grieving someone who's recently passed. Prayers for my colleagues and our collective processes to continue peacefully and effectively. Prayers for us to weather the storm. I'm offering prayer for my cat for his transition. His name was No Name. Offering prayers for Linda, who had a stroke. Prayers for Maria, age 92, recovering from a broken hip. Prayers for Dee and her family, grieving the brutal murder of their son, brother. Prayers for Nancy, providing support for so many. Offering prayers for me to connect to creativity and joy. Prayers for those experiencing burnout. Continue prayers for my son, Kevin. Continue prayers for the LGBTQ community whose lives are considered sinful by many, especially in the wake of the Vatican's denouncing statements of homosexual relationships. Prayers for the realization that love is. Prayers for those with suicidal ideation. Prayers for all the ones we cannot help, cannot reach. Continue prayers for my 1-year-old cats, Dot and Dash, who have both had irregularities in their blood work. Prayers for my partner's daughter, that she may heal from her eating disorder and come to love her body despite all the messages telling her not to. Prayers for those experiencing birth and rebirth. May they be welcomed, celebrated, and liberated. Prayers for my friend Aviva Keller, who's doing much better in chemo treatment. For Lisa Smith, now 6 weeks in the Bardo. For her mom, my friend Gabrielle, and her whole family supporting each other in their loss. And for Anna Gottlieb, also 6 weeks in the Bardo. And her mom, Miriam, dad, Roger, sister Esther, and their loss. For Tom Crana with lung cancer. For Joyce, working with her challenging siblings so she can care for her mother. Elsie and her healing of my shoulder. Prayers for my friend on the anniversary of her father's death. And prayers for Heidi, Michael, and Jerry, who are both dealing with various health issues. Prayers for as my heart continues to break in a million pieces as I continue to mourn the loss of my nephew, Demariano. As we lift all these prayers, we offer all of our fear, our anxiety, our celebrations, our mourning, our hopelessness, despair, our sadness. We offer all of that into our field of benefactors. We ask them to move and act on our behalf, to bring about whatever changes, whatever results are appropriate and in line with our prayers. And turning our attention even deeper now into this presence of the healer of Medicine Buddha. Imagining that this energy, this presence of healing, of growth, of creativity, of spaciousness, of joy, is right with us in this space. And to go even further, to imagine or to give rise to an image or perspective of Medicine Buddha right in front of us. Imagining that the Medicine Buddha is just right in front of us, essentially, in the form of the healer that feels appropriate for you. And maybe that's imagining Medicine Buddha in Medicine Buddha's original form of a Buddha in monk's robes, sitting on a multicolored lotus. Or imagining Medicine Buddha as the healer that seems to be an expression of whom you understand the healer to be. And slowly, I invite you to begin to imagine that the healer, the Medicine Buddha in front of you, begins to radiate with this white, soft light, this glow, this radiance from their bodies. And it's the radiance that begins to fill up the space around you, and it's a radiance that begins to envelop and to hold you. As if you're sitting outside on a cold day, and then the sun comes out, and the sun just radiates this warm light. You feel the warmth of the sun warming you up, taking care of you. In the same way, the resonance or the radiance of the Medicine Buddha in front of you begins to take care of you, begins to warm up and support parts of our experiences that feel isolated and cold or numb or shut down. Letting the light of Medicine Buddha radiate into those parts of ourselves. Taking a lyric from one of my favorite musicals, let the light shine in. Let the light of the great healer, the light of healing itself, begin to radiate into the darkness and the coldness in our experiences. And let the Medicine Buddha begin to take care of us. And sitting in this visualization, letting ourselves be cared for, we begin a mantra practice. Teyata Om Bekenze Maha Bekenze Rasa Sumu Gate Soha. O Teyata Om Bekenze Maha Bekenze Rasa Sumu Gate Soha. 오제아다운백연제 백연제 마백연제 라자 수문가제소아 제아다운백연제 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 백연제 마백연제 라자 Soa, Teata, Beyenze, Beyenze, Ma Beyenze, Raza Sunga 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 Soa. soham. Teata umbeyenze, beyenze, mabe yenze, razasumu gate soa. Teata umbeyenze, mabe yenze, razasumu gate soa. Turning our attention back to all the benefactors that have joined us for this practice, while keeping the healer, the medicine Buddha in front of us. We invite all of our other benefactors to return back from where they came from to be with us, thanking them for their love, their guidance, and support. We turn our attention back to the medicine Buddha in front of us. We imagine that they begin to dissolve into white light. We imagine that we absorb that white light into any experience that we're having where we need support. Either we absorb that energy of medicine Buddha into our brokenheartedness, into our loneliness. Maybe we dissolve it into a physical pain that we have, or any form of illness that we're struggling with. Deeply drinking in that healing energy of medicine Buddha into that experience. And letting medicine Buddha reside in that uncomfortable experience for you. And so now turning our attention to Shante Deva's prayer, which can be found in the chat box. As we chant this, or as we recite it rather, I'm just really thinking about really all the beings who need help, including ourselves, and how we are both someone standing in the need of prayer, as we used to say growing up, and how we are at the same time can become our own medicine. That we are both sick, yet we are also our own medicine. Reciting this on behalf of all beings, who's standing in the need of prayer and healing. We begin. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all the sick beings in the world until everyone is healed, just like space and the great elements such as earth. May I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all the sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all the sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. All right. Thank you, everyone, so much for your practice tonight. And let's try to carry the blessing of the great healer with us as we move deeper into this week, remembering the blessing of the great healer in our brokenheartedness and our fear and our shame and our anger and rage. Remembering that Innocent Buddha is only a thought or an intention away. May we all be held deeply by the transformative, revolutionary love of the great healer. May the Mother hold all of us until we completely awaken. Right? Right. And I will see you all again down the road as well. So please be well. Please come back to this recording whenever you need it. Okay? Thank you, everyone.